I'll start off by saying this. If you cannot achieve an impressive physique on low dose testosterone, like TRT level doses, then your training, your nutrition, and probably your lifestyle suck. So the question of whether or not you should hop on a bunch of gear isn't one I can directly answer, but I can give you some insight, all right, help you maybe look at things a little differently. So I'll tell you my experience just with TRT, okay? So I started lifting when I was maybe 12 or 13 years old in a friend's basement. I got into a lot of different kinds of training, but I've been training nonstop, so that's 30 years. At least 25 of those years were completely natural. When I approached 40, I hopped on TRT. 200 milligrams a week. And I'll say unequivocally, that low TRT dose of testosterone was a game changer for me. I was able to get bigger, stronger, and recover much faster. It was almost like an unbelievable feeling to me since I had never done that shit before. Now, the reason I bring that up is this, why was it so beneficial for me in almost 40 at that super low dose? The reason is because I put the time in all those years to learn how to dial everything in, my nutrition, my training, to achieve results across multiple fields and sports, lifting. And I think that's a stark contrast to today where you got most guys hopping on a bunch of gear before ever establishing that foundation. So what's all the gear really doing? It's just masking your shitty diet, your shitty training, all of it is uncertain. You don't really know if you'd be able to achieve anything, if anything that you're doing is optimal, because you're on a shit ton of gear, okay? 500 milligrams of tren will mask a shitty diet and mediocre training every time. So I think people need to have a hard look at their motivation for doing things. Why are you thinking about going on that gear or even just TRT? It's probably because you're on social media looking at all these fucking guys on there who are on a ton of shit, half of them who won't even admit it, but they obviously are. And you're trying to exist in that world, plain and simple. So I hope I can be the voice of reason and tell you that, you do not have to live up to social media. You have no obligation to follow that path. And in my opinion, what you should do is this. If you're natural, you should stay natural until you truly believe you've dialed your nutrition and training in to the point where you can optimize it for yourself, where you can build a pretty impressive looking physique and feel dialed in. If you're bent on going forward from there, you should be a minimalist. Unless you're competing in something, I think you should be a minimalist forever. Because I don't give a fuck what anybody says on the internet. There is a high cost to taking a shit ton of gear. You're gonna accumulate mileage on your body, your arteries. So like I said in the beginning, if you can't have a pretty badass physique on low dose testosterone, then your training and nutrition just plain fucking suck, period. And that doesn't mean you're gonna look like Sam Sulek on 200 milligrams of testosterone, all right? That's ridiculous. But you should still be able to look pretty damn good on low dose testosterone. The progress that you can make on just a small amount of gear is insane if you're dialed in and if you've been training for a while and you know what you're doing. You take 250 milligrams of testosterone and like an equal amount of nandrolone. The results that you can get from that should be insane. Like, you should be able to be noticeably bigger. People should be asking you, are you on some shit? But you really need to be conscious of the fact that you really don't know what's happening to you while you're on that shit or what's going to happen to you when you do. Even TRT, which is a mega low dose by any standard of testosterone, I have had side effects from that. For sure, my blood pressure tends to creep up. My hematocrit creeps up. Sometimes I have to donate blood. And there's a lot of things that even on that low dose that you need to think about, all right? If a lot of your blood work values are kind of jacked up over a long period of time, that's probably going to jack you up. So I guess my point is, even on just TRT, baby dose of testosterone, you still have to be careful. Like, you need to get blood work. You need to be staying on top of shit like your blood pressure, hematocrit, estrogen, and a bunch of other shit, really. Now add a ton of other shit on top of that, compound that, the risk is exponentially larger, all right? The risk is a lot larger. And in my opinion, unless you're competing for something, what the fuck are you doing? You trying to be famous on social media using drugs? Is it worth it? I don't think so, but that's your call. So before you hop on anything, make sure you're ready to make those lifestyle changes, right? You need to make sure your eating is on point. Your cardio needs to be on point. All these things that you might be neglecting right now. A lot of that stuff's gonna come into play and be important. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give me a like, follow. See you next time.